Today, at Executive Chat, we're going to meet Anna Wintour, Global Editorial Director of Vogue, and Edward Enninful, European Editorial Director of Vogue. Anna, digital transformation has disrupted many sectors, particularly in creative industries. Can I ask you how the notion of leadership has changed over the years?
Well, I think when I began my career in media, it was a very clear, simple path. You talk to your audiences through one channel, which was print, or in a situation like we are today, just talking one-to-one, or in conferences, things like that. Today, we have this extraordinary opportunity where there are no borders, that we can talk to our audiences on a global scale and across so many different platforms, whether it's social or video or digital, print, events, conferences. The opportunities are absolutely enormous, and how exciting is that? So, for us at Condé Nast, what we've been looking at over the past several years, obviously slightly slowed down, but actually in a way helped by COVID, because it gave us time to really sit back and think and talk amongst each other what the right way forward is because we were working very much in silos as a company before, that each territory, whether it was in the UK where Edward works or in the US where I work, we were operating as independent companies. And now that we have new CEO at Condé Nast, Roger Lynch, he saw quite rightly the wisdom of opening up and getting rid of all these borders, and has encouraged us to look at our editorial content from a global perspective. So now we are fully cooperating, working together. Obviously, there's an operational side to it that's quite complicated, that's taken some time, but we are working together as a global team, and at the same time, completely respecting the importance of local culture and local stories, certainly, for instance, here in Italy.
Thank you very much. Another very important trend in these days is sustainability, which is very peculiar because, the fashion industry has historically been conceived sometimes by some people as consumeristic. How do you see the trend of sustainability in the fashion business?
Well, I think that everybody that works in fashion is very aware of this issue and very concerned and taking huge steps to correct it. And I think Italy has actually been at the forefront of this with your Green Carpet Awards and your Sustainability Awards at your dinner just last night, where the mayor spoke in such an articulate way about everything that we need to do. But I also challenge the students here at your university, because it's their future and they need to help us understand what the way forward is. But I think, speaking for the company, obviously we're very full of attention for our carbon footprint. We are looking very carefully at how many print issues that we print and trying to contain that. And I also think we're talking to our audiences about fashion not being disposable, that fashion is something that can last for a long time. It's something that you can give to your daughter or to your son or to whoever. It's something that should have a history, that should be very emotional, be something that should be full of memories. And I think, again, COVID and this period of reflection has given us all a lot of time to consider how we approach fashion and our approach to it from a sustainable point of view. And I'm going to mention this in my remarks today, but I think when I look at designers, particularly like Alessandro Michele here in Italy, who used to produce so many collections, he's really taken a step back and is doing far fewer. So I think it's buying less, but being very connected to the pieces that you buy.
That's very interesting. Edward, and speaking about digital transformation, social media have also disrupted the industry. So a modern and competitive publisher like Vogue, for example, how has interpreted this new wave of instruments that we have to interact with our audiences?
I mean, as Anna said before, when years ago you had one sort of thing to communicate through, which was the magazine, or interviews like that. But I think for us now, social media has opened up Condé Nast to such a brilliant world. Like Anna said, no borders. So when we launch our covers, and really that becomes our, what's the word I'm looking for? It becomes our most incredible way of showing the world what we do. Like, Anna launched, how many covers have you launched? The successes of these covers when you put on social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, we can't no longer live in a world where we think, we just ignore what's out there, what the youth, I'm very obsessed with the youth, as we know, what the youth are looking at. And for Condé Nast to keep growing, we need to attract sort of a new audience. And what I do love about the new audience and Vogue is maybe, their mothers, always read Vogue. Maybe, Vogue was something they grew up with, but now they can be a part of the family and the community through social media. It's a new way of getting in new audiences. So
It's about building our community.
Yes.
And, we reach so many millions of audiences via Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whatever it may be. And it's about engaging them with all of our content. And when we discuss content, we don't look at it with just one platform in mind.
Yes.
We talk about, we say, how is this going to work from a social video perspective? How is it going to work from long form, short form? How is it going to work on audio? How's it going to work in print, digital? So, the opportunities are enormous, and our audiences are responding. They're growing all the time.
That's absolutely very interesting.
You could talk about the Met Ball last week.
Yes.
My God.
Yes, we live streamed the Met red carpet just last Monday, and I think we reached, it was 15 million, billion, not million, billion press impressions. It was extraordinary. Wow. And that was we were able to work across all of our platforms and across all of our Vogues from a global perspective.
And talk about new media. Before, Anna would have the Met Ball, but she would bring in all the TV stations, in a way, old media, to come in and cover everything. And I think Roger literally said to you,
yes,
we have to own this.
Yes.
Sure.
Have our own live stream.
Terrific. Mm-hmm. A very last question about, we are in the fashion week in these days in Milan. So Milan, Paris, London in different respects. In Europe, we believe they are capitals of fashion of different segments. Again, the world is turning digital. Do you still see value in the future for these weeks?
I think we've learned during COVID that physical contact is so important, and communication and just talking to each other. It's just not the same when you're doing it on Zoom. But I'm also so encouraged by the designers who are thinking differently about how they present and show fashion. I think it's a shame when designers go backwards and are doing the same old thing. And the other issue that Edward and I, and this is not just Milan, I think it's some of the cities, we would love to see more of is a real celebration of both diversity and inclusivity in terms of body shape as well as race. And I feel that we've made great strides in both the UK, largely due to Edward's extraordinary leadership, but also I believe in the US. And I hope so much that other countries, particularly here in Italy and in France, will look at this issue, because, the world isn't only very thin people. It's made up of all kinds of people, and we need to reflect that.
And for me, going back to designers, before you had to have a show. It didn't matter whether you could afford it or not. That was the way to show the clothes. And I think the beauty of lockdown and what we've learned over the past sort of year and a half is you can have a show or you can have a video presentation or you can do both. So for me, that's really something that's come out of this year and a half of being at home, that you don't have to do it one way, but there's so many different ways of doing it.
And so many of the young designers working together are going direct to their consumers. They are talking directly and building, as we were saying before, their own communities around that conversation that they're having online with their customers. So everything is changing. And what I feel would be tragic is if we see things going back to the way they were. Because we work in an industry, and Edward and I, in an industry that's about change, and fashion is obviously about change. And what I don't understand is why sometimes there are those who don't want change and don't embrace change, because change is our future.
So I think these words are very important for the future, and I do thank you for visiting
course.
Bocconi University, and I look forward to
Thank you
hearing
for
your
having us.
Thank you
presentation.
for having us.
Great.